I don't want to make a comparison, but not really long ago, one of the parties in Ghana, NDC, selected its flag bearer. And we are aware that in the long run, it became literally unopposed candidate, so to speak, because the main contender, for whatever reason, resigned. But you can't say that he was pushed to resign, because if you are able to make your own decisions and choices, regardless of even if there is coercion, you still make your own judgment and decide what is good, first off for yourself and secondary for everybody around you. And that is why when the contender for the NDC flag bearer or candidate resigned, nobody said that was he pushed to resign, because we know that he had his own.
Dr. Tamaklo is saying it.
Well, that is, but people. That's what I'm saying, that people have, there is freedom of expression, and when people are expressing themselves, you do not stop them, and the fact that they are expressing themselves doesn't make you right anyway. So I want to debunk that. But the point I'm making is, because everybody has a choice what they ought to do and what they want to do, whenever somebody decides to do something, people will not stop that person. And the comparative point I'm making is that when Ghanaians did not question why somebody, a main contender for NDC flag bearership, resigned and it was allowed to go, and similar occurrence has happened this time in another party, NPP in Ghana, for somebody to turn around to say that the person has been stabbed in the back, has been forced to resign and all that.
A leading senior member of MPP, Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo, has described how the former Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kyerematen, Honorable Alan Kyerematen, has been treated by their party as a stab in the back.
But if that is what he's saying, even though he's saying
he has become Judas in the party.
Listen, but if that is what he's saying in support of Honorable Alan Kyerematen, then by inference, what he's saying is that Honorable Alan Kyerematen cannot make his own decisions. That is an indictment on the Honorable. And I wish he can hear and retract that statement. Because it's a very seasoned politician, informed and able to make reasoned decisions. And this is an informed and reasoned decision. Why would anybody such as Dr. Tamaklo to conclude or to infer that he's been pushed to do so, and if that is the case, he's been stabbed in the back? I wish he can retract, because that is an indictment on the...
So what about this?
I would say no.
His assumption that he is the most qualified candidate for the position.
How do you define qualification in a political party and in democracy? Tell me. That is why everybody, the only qualification is when people vote and the majority say yes. This is not about qualification, academic qualification. It's about the individuals concluding that this is the person we wish to lead us. This is political activity. And therefore, when the majority say this is the case, and you conclude that the majority have not decided properly, then the person doesn't understand democracy in the first
So how
instance.
does it, in your view, how does this go with the public perception, Ghanaians, that what Dr. Tamaklo is saying, and he's also claiming that when it's very sad that Alan, to him, has been stabbed in the back by the MPP, and that because when he look at those who want to be president at the moment, he's the only one who stands tall at the moment.
What he is trying to say then is that there shouldn't have been election at all, that he should have been handpicked and allowed to go. But within the MPP, because of democratic principles as a party, nobody is handpicked to do something. Nobody is handpicked compared to other parties. That somebody will say, all right, you know what, everybody step aside and let one person go. To MPP, everybody has equal opportunity, and there's democratic activism. And so we go through the electioneering process, and the majority's voice will carry the day.
Do you think that, I mean, we will come to Kofi shortly, but do you think that based on the past events, the relationship between Nana Addo and Alan, that many are saying even Nana Addo kind of make it look like he was supporting Alan, and Alan is the next person to take over. And all of a sudden, what Dr. Tamakroe is saying is Nana Addo is pushing himself away and remaining silent while he's making noise in other places for other people.
Right. Well, I don't want to make comparative, but let me stick to my
Yes.
my course, because we are discussing this particular point. But if somebody says by inference, somebody's actions and inactions conclude so, but that is not in line with democratic principle. You, Kula, I can look at you and say, you know what, you are next to take over Omega. And if there is a board of directors way of doing so, then it has to be followed through. So we cannot just look at you and say, because of how nice you are, because of how you do your things, because you're always doing something or this or that, that is a conclusive point. If there is a constitution, if there is a procedure to be followed, you know that if the procedure is not followed, then a person's appointment to become a flag bearer will even be undermined, because that will be unprocedural.
So this will be a statement for the future that whoever is there should not be making promises to others to say, "Oh, one day you will take over."
Who made promise?
Well, the message out there
What is the message?
suggests that
What is the
Nana Addo
message?
supported Alan and seems to have said to him, "Oh, I will support you."
You see, what is the word you've used? Seems. When things seem to be, until you get closer, you realize that it's a mirage. We make inferences. For example, what you are saying, I have to discern and understand what you are trying to say. And if I'm not sure, I have to seek clarification. But just as you said, people conclude generally to the detriment of even the person making or proffering the statement. So that if we really wanted to understand what it means by what the president or what anybody did, we have to go to the person to ask, what does it mean by what you say or what you did or that?
Okay, to finish off, do you feel that Alan, if he goes independent, it will affect Bawumia?
What will it affect?
Well, he will have supporters.
The vice president in any
Because
way.
he will have supporters in MPP, yeah.
But at the end of the day, if somebody goes independent, having supporters in the MPP, the question here is, what do the supporters want? So if the supporters are discerning and open enough and able to conclude that if we support our candidate who is going independent, and the chances, so it's all about chances. If the chances of going independent as opposed to a chance of being part of the global team or platform is minimal, then what's the point wasting that chance? And I will conclude that on that front, it wouldn't be the case that when this happens, it will affect, or when A happens, it will affect B.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Charles Asma. Kofi, you heard it all. You want me to go on again with the questions, or you heard it?
I've heard it.
You heard it.
And I would advise my brother here. The NPP is the party in government. So the level of responsibility they have to good governance is a little higher than other political parties. That is not to say, as a member of the NDC and a natural leader at a certain level in the party, the NDC doesn't have responsibility to be democratic and exercise good governance. But you are in a unique place, and considering the fact that you are seeking to be a branch treasurer.
I'm not seeking, I am.
He is a
you are?
Yes.
Okay.
They done their voting long time ago.
Okay. So whether you are or you are seeking, you are a leader for a certain group of people who look up to you. And so when you are on TV, such as Omega TV, you need to embrace responsibility as leaders. Don't get dismissive when your party faces a situation where people of considerable experience in the our political establishment are pointing to you that you are getting certain of your actions wrong. I'm talking about Dr. Nyaw Tamaklo and the commentary that has followed the withdrawal of Mr. Alan Kyerematen from the contest. If you remember, Kofi, Dr. Arthur Kennedy's book, Chasing the Elephant into the Bush.
Yeah.
Mahmoud Bawumia, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, he was handpicked. He didn't become the leader or the most important person in the MPP by some special merit. He didn't get to become the running mate of, Mr. Akufo-Addo by virtue of his qualification. Akufo-Addo decided to handpick him from nowhere. And the book stated that today, from nowhere, he has become the most important person in the MPP, such that people who had preceded him had played roles in the Kufuor government, roles that he would have dreamt about, had suddenly become outsiders. You need to put what is going, Mr. Alan Kyerematen is going through, in proper perspective. There is history. Don't dismiss. You have the responsibility as a political party to show good faith, to exercise good governance, to make the people of the country, learn from you that when it comes to democracy, you are able to do or, to express the best practice. But you don't. You create the conditions persistently for Alan to fail, including supporting Ashanti-based candidates so as to weaken his support, his base, and to elevate Bawumia above him. You know very well that Alan has had support from the time of President Kufuor to date. In fact, there was a point when President Kufuor made a speech, and I think it was prophetic, that the MPP does not need Akokra, Nitimu Yeshi. You need a leader who is sober, who is reflective, who can see further than others. But unfortunately, money prevailed. And they ended up selecting a leader who, unfortunately, is quite unstable. The consequence of that instability is what we are seeing today. To the extent that the MPP itself is denied democracy. It's about money. It's about government bringing to bear its power, its coercive forces on the MPP to such an extent that one particular person is favored. And Alan complained about it in his statements. The whole electoral process was skewed in such a way that Bawumia would become the leader. In fact, my understanding is that they were aiming to achieve 70%. And therefore, they created the environment where...
So it was done in favor of Bawumia.
Alhaji Bawumia was...
Irrespective of how long Alan has served.
There was a disregard for that. There was a disregard for the electors, those people who would elect, who will make the top 5. There was a disregard for their free choice. Remember, the New Patriotic Party is, they claim to have this ideology of economic freedom. Their motto is development in freedom. That's what I remember from the 2000 election. I don't know if they've changed it, but actually now there's no development in freedom. There is development of some to the captivity of others. That is what they have now, their ideology. But they don't respect the freedom of those people to elect those they prefer as their leaders. So they create a coercive environment whereby they even used violence against opponents of Mr. Alhaji Bawumia.
Against Bawumia or against
the
Alan?
Opponents of Alhaji Bawumia.
Okay.
In order to deter them from exercising that free choice.
Just write everything. Hold on, please. Write everything you want to write.
Right.
Right, please. Just make notes then. Because I think when he was talking, he didn't come in. So if you, thank you.
So to the extent that they exercise violence in order to achieve that outcome. That's not democracy. I heard him talk about merit. Yeah. That you don't qualify to become a leader in the MPP, anyhow, but it has to come through the ballot box, he has to be elected. But Bawumia was handpicked. And somebody, Akokra Nitimayeshi, is making sure that he defies every democratic good governance process in order to achieve a predetermined outcome, putting Bawumia on top of the MPP. So regardless of whether the people of the New Patriotic Party want him. That what he wants is what he wants to get. And that's been expressed in our situation in Ghana.
So, on reflection, if there is, if Alan decides to run as independent, do you think it will affect MPP? Although you are NDC and
there are several consequences of that. There are several scenarios that can play out. Remember, and it looks like Bawumia is going to become the flag bearer of the MPP. They've created the condition for it to happen. It's predetermined.
But there was also allegation. Okay, go on.
So if Alan goes ahead, there are two options: go as an independent candidate, or create a political party, and then on that political party becomes the vehicle on which he would, proceed. None of them looks straightforward and easy. But it depends on the coalition he's going to build. If the coalition is significant and they are dynamic, they are well resourced to be able to put together a political party and convince, a critical mass of the Ghanaians, politically, especially those who are politically, active and are able to influence society, then they can make a difference.
Okay.
But so far, Alan, over the period, has not done justice to the image that he has had in our minds for some time.
Okay.
And I have to be very fair. As a minister for trade and industry
and economic management team,
a member of he's a critical pillar of the economic management team. As a student of politics, I don't see his impact. I mean, Alhaji Bawumia's impact has been a disaster. Anything he touches, bazaar. We know that. For him, he's somebody who needs to be arrested from any opportunity to manage anything economic. That's Alhaji Bawumia. But that said,
Alan, Charles have been looking very well, patiently for that.
We can go into that.
Yes.
But when you come to Alan, his docility, his lack of, I don't see him engaging with the responsibility that he has as a minister over the period. It's a little too lackadaisical.
Okay.
And I think that has played into, he basically played, his approach to politics, played into the hands of Mr. Akufo-Addo. And he has some of the responsibility he must bear. What he's going through now, some of it he must bear. And a lot of the MPP people who are affected by what is going on, who feel pained by the experience, Alan is going through, Alan must have some of the responsibility. There's a saying in my language, the cat and the dog. When the farmer gets up to go to the farm, the animal they will call, let's go. Nobody dares call the cat, let's go to the farm. Yeah. But everybody, you are going to the farm, you call the dog. It's because of the countenance of the dog. Alan, his countenance has allowed Akufo-Addo to continue to be comfortable and even use violence to perpetuate his misgovernance on the NPP. Okay.
Because of time. Now,
yes.
There was a lot of allegations. Hold on. Yes, we're not finished here. There was a lot of allegations about vote buying during the MPP special electoral college. The allegations from camps, it came from Alan Kyerematen camp, and it also Hobson Adoye was saying it. Then it also came from Kennedy's camp.
Yes.
saying that Bawumia is using government officials threatening people to vote for him or buying votes and things like that for posts. Is this something that you want to say something about? You are aware of it?
It's obvious. It's like heat. You probably not see the source of it, but you can feel it. It's obvious. You know, using government.
Kennedy said it, and Alan Camp said it, but I will make a comment. Charles.
Yes, but you know when Madam Cecilia Dapa's case erupted like a volcano, it was a sprout from what has been the underlying culture within the government. Okay, extort from having the opportunity to govern the country, extort from the country, keep the resource under your bed, channel them through people across the country, and then use that to continue, you know, to stay in power. One of the things that came out of the withdrawal of Alan has been that Bawumia has been deliberately financed, you know, resourced to make sure that when it comes to the, you know, the polls, money would be used to then buy the votes. As enough, you saw what happened. After the elections, the voters, the ordinary people came out and said, we took your money, but we showed you. Where did the money come from? 200 cedis fresh cash. You saw them. I mean, money, fresh printed mint, you know, was doled out. Where did it come from? As ordinary Ghanaian, you know, citizens, we want to be interested in where that money came from.
Is it not the job of the police? The police are not doing anything then. Because if they hear it, they're supposed to follow it, but they don't.
Who appoints those in charge of the police? You see the Bugri Nabu tape issue, Dampare issue. You realize the dynamics of appointments and disappointments of key, you know, players within the police architecture. It is the government. And there were attempts to now even put people that they prefer to be, you know, NPP people in charge of the police. So even if you want the police to take charge of, you only need to remember Madam Dankwa, the CID boss, and how palace she was, how she was cooperating with the deputy chiefs of staff in order to corrupt the rules of justice.
You want to land, please?
Yes, but my point basically is this. Resource was channeled in order to buy votes. But in addition to that, they used force. They created the environment for powerful people to be watching you, the voter, and make you fear voting otherwise, other than Bawumia. So in that environment, it wasn't a free election. Election, for it to be genuine, it has to be free. In other words, the voter must exercise his free will, his free choice of who he prefers. But that wasn't done.
Is that how you see it? That it was not free and fair, and also the vote buying?
Thank you very much. You see, there is a maxim, and I'm sure my student of politics or graduate of politics will know about it.
Mr. Kofi Adoli.
Yes. If you want to go to equity, make sure your hands are clean. He's talking about fairness and morality. Let me start from the very last point he made about the fact that people amass state wealth with the view to go into electioneering campaign, more or less taking advantage of the state. My brother, I'm sure, has been following, was very much aware the process going into 2020 election. And 18th of May 2019, a statement was made by the late former President Rawlings, may he so rest in peace. He was peeved by the fact that as part of the election wealth pot, one person had access to $3 million in NDC, part of the money for campaign. And that person knew that it wasn't going to go in the favor of NDC 2020 election. So kept the money, $3 million, kept the money and used it to buy 2 mansions, 1.5 million each in Ghana. He knows. That's why I have let me finish.
Point of
let me finish. Let
this is out of order.
Let me finish.
No, he has smeared. He has given an allegation.
Let me finish.
It's
a statement.
No,
it's a
please,
statement.
please.
Let me finish. Let me
No.
finish.
Do you have evidence?
Let me finish.
What happened
He's
is,
talking
where
about
did you
evidence.
see the source?
He's
or the
talking
police?
about- he's
Where
talking
did you-
about
where
evidence.
did you get the source?
Okay, you want me to? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
You see, when I say people go to equity,
you can come back to the source
No,
later.
no. All right.
Later get the source, or you can get it. now.
Yes, it's here.
We will ask producer to put
okay,
it.
Peace FM online. This is 18th May 2019.
Peace FM online.
Yeah, all right.
18.
He can say that
Who was presenting? Who was the presenter?
All right, so
Give us the particulars.
yeah, what you want the particulars?
No, go
but
on.
I'm sure the moment I started saying this, he knew about. So let me
Kofi
finish.
was his
Then,
evidence.
but it's here. So yeah,
Kofi,
Kuna.
Kofi, what we will do is
Kuna,
that
this is
yes, I will let the producer
Okay,
put
all
it
right,
on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Now you see, when he favors my brother, he confidently espouses what he wants to espouse, and when it doesn't favor him, he says that somebody's views are unwarranted. All right. He's putting me on notice that I should produce evidence. I'll put you on notice. Produce evidence that one.
That's a lie.
No,
What you said is a lie.
Let me finish. You
Hold
see?
on, please.
You see,
No,
I-
don't come in.
you see,
Don't come in when
what-
he's
you see-
talking.
you see
When
when
he
people-
finish talking,
All right.
then do you need a pen and a paper?
Oh,
Please,
you-
we
When,
get
when
you one.
something is a complete lie.
But that's not a lie.
but still we'll come to
are
it.
you then?
You
So
can
you have
come to
evidence
it.
for all the things we've said.
Hold on.
Proceed with the lie.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
go on,
see,
please.
if whenever your hands are not clean enough, don't go public to make moral statements and fairness statements. Now, so this is the point, and I have given you the source. Today he's saying that Peace FM information may not be accurate, it's a lie. But when he favors him, he will refer to Peace FM because it's a national media organization or public, even though it's private, it's credible in the country. Yeah. All right. Now, he's saying that first off, I want to say that
Kofi, do you need a pen?
first off, Kula, I want Kofi to be aware that nobody in the NPP has ever been handpicked for flag bearership. Somebody can be selected to be a running mate. The difference between a running mate selection and flag bearership selection is this. When a flag bearer is selected, the running mate is going to work with that flag bearer. And the flag bearer, when successful, will be the leader of the government of the day. Let's say the president. And therefore, you want somebody whom, in your view, will be able to assist you to execute your manifesto mandate. Tell me, has NDC ever elected a running mate in the history of Ghana's politics? I'm asking. Isn't it always the case that per consensus or per selection, somebody is selected? And we say that, oh, the president or the flag bearer has announced his or her running mate. So when Professor Jane was appointed or selected, there was no election. When the late Vice President, Misata, was appointed to be the running mate, it wasn't by election. So when did it become something onerous that when an MPP flag bearer selects by consensus somebody to be a running mate, it's unwarranted? And for that matter, I say that presumption is rebutted unless he has other things to say. Because there's no constitution, be it within a party or Ghana as a country, that a running mate should be elected. And so I say that was unfounded. The second point, when I started, he said that MPP, because knew that it was going into primaries, created wealth for itself, or certain people who are going to be part of the elections in terms of candidate for the flag bearership, created wealth for themselves at the disadvantage of the state. And I'm saying that one, he doesn't even have evidence to suggest that. But granted that is what he's saying. Is NDC clean in this sense? And I quoted him, and he said that is a lie. If that is a lie, then the Peace FM has always been telling lies with the information he put out. That is one point. The second point is this. He says that yes, Honorable Alan Kyerematen has been at the forefront of political activism within the MPP. And therefore, this is the time that people within the MPP should have allowed him to go unopposed. And I say that there has never, even in NDC, when it became so contentious and everybody was driven away for former President Mahama to go literally unopposed, he polled 98%.
Was he going by what Dr. Tamakroe is saying?
Which one?
Was Kofi going by what Dr.
But you were
Tamakroe is
asking
saying?
him about
Yes.
what doctor said, and he was making his views, expressing his views on that.
Okay.
And I'm saying that even within the NDC, there were 3 candidates eventually. NPP 10 candidates. Which party is more democratic? To the extent that everybody, there's high inclusion and there's demonstration of democratic principles. NDC 3 eventually. Mr. Bonsu, Dr. Dufour, former President Mahama. Eventually, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he was forced to resign or machinations of former president made him to resign, because I don't have the evidence. And I will conclude that Dr. Dufour resigned or left because, and that is his personal decision. But if you go beyond that, and if you relate it to what my brother is saying, then I will agree with my brother that Dr. Dufour, by machination of NDC executives or leadership and the former president, was forced to resign so that he could pave way for the former president. And even when Mr. Bonsu insisted that I will go forward, you saw what happened. Now, the next point I want to say is that he's talking about impact. And he was being fair that even though we have Honorable Alan Kyerematen, we have the vice president, we have so many other people supporting the execution of government mandate. Some people's impact have been felt to an extent. And he concludes, and of course, I'm not going to ask him on what basis he makes such conclusion, but he concludes that in his view, Honorable Alan Kyerematen's impact maybe have not been felt to an extent. But I will say that his impact has been felt within the party and within the government, because he contributed in one way or the other to the trade, to the execution of the trade mandate of the government. But the point we are making is we are looking at the will of the masses.
You want to say something also about the allegation of vote buying?
Allegation of vote buying.
Yes.
Allegation of vote buying.
Then,
okay.
Kofi, we're coming
so
to you shortly.
it is the allegation. Okay, so allegation of vote buying that I started off. My brother said that, hey, what don't go into that slippery area, because that one, it will touch me. It's going to burn me. Don't mention it. But the point is, 3 million was put together for one person to handle for electioneering process. What was it for? Because electioneering process, fine. Was it for the vehicles? Was it for? Eventually, the person rather, you know what, let me keep it because it's not going to work for us. Yes. Now, what I'm saying is that it is not, I'm not going to sit here to say that it's not happening in our body politic in Ghana. It is something that we have to embrace and say that it's about time we reshape the way we do electioneering processes across the length and breadth of all the parties in Ghana. And I'm not going to talk about MPP and leave NDC or this or that.
You
and
feel that EC have a role to play here?
So the point I'm making is that there's element of people being influenced materially with the view to more or less induce their judgment as to who they want to vote for. That is one point. But even that, somebody will still go into the ballot box with his or her own volition that is the person I want to vote for.
You want to land here, please.
EC has a role to play. Yes, but the thing is this. It is up to you and I and my brother Kofi here to inspire those in Ghana and to implore that, look, if you are going to support the democratic, the improvement of democratic processes in Ghana, all of us have to come together and say, you know what, if I'm going to elect you into office to manage the activities of Ghana in any shape or form, then I want to make sure that you can do the job. I'm not going to be swayed by money or by material promises or give me this and do that. If that happens, we will elect people just like we have in the developed countries like the UK.
Charles Asma. Kofi, you heard it all. Yes. We give you a chance to respond, then we go to the next lesson.
Yes.
The next question.
I'm very particular about this 3 million allegations. So I want to give him 1 minute of my time. Give us the details of this smear, about 3 million. I'm giving you my time.
Okay.
Produce
all right.
information you have
Okay.
about 3 million.
So,
Who is
producer,
involved,
would you be able
what
to?
was involved,
Okay.
when it was done,
Okay.
who actually gave 3 million to
Right.
anybody.
Okay.
I'm giving you the opportunity
Of course. So yeah. So let me talk to that.
to be libelous, to libel somebody,
Well,
to
it's not-
destroy
well,
somebody's
well,
character.
it's not-
and then,
well, okay.
So go ahead.
So okay. Let me read this.
Charles,
Let
he's
me-
giving it to you.
Yes.
so
Let me read this.
to have-
First,
Okay, let
read
me-
the source.
Yeah. Let me read this.
Read the
So
source.
I'm reading from Peace FM Online, and this is under the politics part of the information put out online. This is 18th May 2019, and it reads: $3 million mansion saga, coup plotter, and this is me quoting what is here. Coup plotter, Rawlings must speak and act like an elderly person, Kwachi Ofosu. And this is, that was his response to that information. So a former Deputy Information Minister, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, has taken ex-President Jerry John Rawlings, founder of the National Democratic Congress, to the cleaners for accusing him of purchasing 2 mansions at a staggering $3 million. Mr. Kwachi believed the former president should have exhibited some form of civility by calling him over the matter, to call him over the matter for his confirmation or denial when he stumbled upon the information than to draw his own conclusion and pass judgment. So unquote. I quoted and I have unquoted. So the point is this.
No, thank you. You've used the time. You've read it.
Yeah, I've read it.
Kofi. And the
No, he
viewers-
wanted to hear. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's fine.
Kofi
So
and-
Thank you.
and the
Thank
viewers.
you. Thank you, Charles.
Have you heard this? I mean, gossip. Please. Gossip.
So finish with your time.
Roadside gossip that Felix Kwachi Ofosu has responded to. And his response, there is nothing in this story that says anybody was paid 3 million, anybody had received 3 million, that, you, as a matter of fact, can prove that anybody was giving any amount of money. But you sit on TV. You see, the New Patriotic Party does not respect the Ghanaian. That's the bottom line of it. When the Alan issue was raised, he was dismissed. He was dismissive of the issue. And I took the opportunity to advise him that as a leader, or I made a mistake of saying he's an aspiring leader. He corrected me. That when you are leading people, be responsible in your language, in your choice of things you say. Make sure you get it right. People are watching you, and you have around you.
So
New
which of your
Patriotic
points?
Party.
Which of your points?
All flashy about
Which of your points
your-
was based on authority? Tell me. You said that Dr. Bamia was just literally the president. He even mentioned the president. The Akukra, Nitimu Shishino, literally paved way for him. He was bold to say that.
I'm being decent by keeping quiet for you too.
He was bold.
Charles, let
He
him
was-
talk.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried.
Let him
You
finish,
see?
please. Then
And
we
that is
go
what I'm
on.
saying. If you want equity, you must do equity.
You know.
Okay. Let
But
Kofi
there's
continue.
the
sir.
need
Thank you.
to respect the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian person.
Were you respecting Ghanaians?
They are
then?
watching you, and then you throw an allegation without foundation, and you want to destroy somebody's reputation on the basis of that. You don't do this. You don't. And I take complete exception to that kind of the tendency to lie to the people just because you have the opportunity to talk. No, you must first remember.
You have to withdraw all the lies you have put on this show so far about the vice president, about the president, and about MPP.
Make
as a
notes
party in
when it's
general.
your turn, then you talk. Please let him continue because he never interfere
I
with.
mean, he interjected at a point.
Okay.
Yes. But you see, I'm making the point of respect for the Ghanaian because primarily they are the deciders of who becomes our leaders. It's not about appearing on TV with your party colors and all flashy. It's about the substance of our presence here. What we are projecting to the people in order to give them the opportunity to be the ultimate deciders of who becomes our leaders. And so far, to be honest, the concluding point of that leg of my submission is the MPP by the nature of the leadership they have today, which has permeated, and we are seeing the reflection of it today, is an organization of irresponsible leadership. And that is what we are seeing. And that's about my point regarding this 3 million thing. But I want to ask, is the NDC the party in government? No. 2, did Dr. Dufour, in his withdrawal from the contest, complain about an election process skewed in the favor of anybody? No. Did he raise any allegation of violence against any Ghanaian who was participating in our primaries, the National Democratic Congress's primaries? Absolutely not. So where is the parity? None. And so when I listen, we need to use the opportunity of talking about Ghana very well, rather than throwing in red herrings here and there without foundation.
Can we move
There
on?
is nothing to compare. Dr. Dufour remains a decent and unharassed member of the National Democratic Congress. As a matter of fact, he continues to be an important, figure in the National Democratic Congress. Nobody goes about trying to harass him, trying to cower him, trying to restrain opportunities available for him in order to seek to be the leader of the NDC. If you look at the MPP, it is a different situation. Even at the district level, it is the whole architecture is about Bawumia, because one person at the top, there was a saying about Nana Yenkamasem. We don't know what that's another nickname for him. If somebody, he wants something, you have to do it, whether you want it or not. Our national motto says freedom and justice. Freedom is primary. That motto is on our constitution. Everything we run is sitting on this motto that says freedom and justice. Your freedom, my freedom, his freedom to exercise your choice must be the foundation of everything we do. But when it comes to Mr. Akufo-Addo, no. It is his choice that must be exercised.
I want us to move away from here and go to the second question, because we're getting stuck here. And let's talk about it. I'm not sure who wants to go first. You want to go first?
I can go.
Yeah, you want to go first? Yeah, okay.
I'm okay with any.
Yeah, okay. It's fine. Let Kofi goes first with it. It's about Nana Kusi Poku, who is the executive director of Good Governance Advocacy Group, recently said that he can help the state to recover 100 million from 3 government officials. He also claims that these 3 officials are lower levels of government. He has also made a statement that if he is not able to lead the office of the special prosecutor to this money, they should imprison him for life. Now, this has come out. And he has come out to the media. He's made this statement. He's been on radio stations. He made this statement. Anybody, our viewers watching, can go out and see. Now, the question is, why has up to today, since he made this statement a few days ago, it's been about 6 days now, no one has approached him. The police has not approached him. The special prosecutor has not approached him. So this is out. Do they want him to go to the police station or to the special prosecutor to make this allegation, to say, okay, this is a complaint he's making? Where does this tell us as country citizens of Ghana, where someone is saying something where it's in the newspapers that no one, the government is not doing anything, government official, police, the CIDs, special prosecutor, no one is doing anything. Where are we?
Yes.
When it comes to corruption and people making allegation of reports regarding corruption?
Yes. Kofi, I like the way you navigate around the process, the police being responsible for investigating crime and helping the system of justice to establish, responsibility for the crimes, and then doing justice. The other leg of our national motto, justice. But without the police being interested in the matter, then it becomes difficult. Of course, we have the OSP's, office also, who has, they have some powers to also investigate crime and help the courts to establish criminality and then do justice. And so, I like the fact that you've highlighted that, but I want us to pay attention to the man, Listowel Kusipoku.
Yeah.
Listowel is, first of all, let me say, when a fish, any other fish comes out of a river and tells you the crocodile is pregnant, you must rely on the credibility of that fish because it's living in that water and it's telling you that crocodile is pregnant. Listowel was one of those pro-Alan supporters in the New Patriotic Party.
Okay.
When Alan first suffered the attack, the harassment, and he, Bachenfor, and all those people within the MPP advocated for fairness in the internal democratic processes of the New Patriotic Party. So this is someone whose credibility is like that of a fish out of water, telling you that crocodile, is pregnant. And so it's too heavy, it's too clumsy, it's unable to catch you, so you can swim across. This is Listowel. I'm trying to paint a picture of his credibility as a witness of this particular act that he's talking about. And so I think the police should be interested. But which police are we talking about? The very police whose high officers don't, as a security force, order, command, control, must be effective. Fair, of course. But without effect of your structural arrangement, then the ordinary people will suffer. But you can see the disorder at the top of the police, where in the Bugri Nabu Dampari matter, highly placed police officers were in liaison with political actors who have links with the president in order to undermine our police institution. This same police, looking at this particular matter, are they capable of standing up to appointees of the same president who, appoints them into office, considering the fact that even the appointment process of the police officers, based on these allegations, doesn't appear to be fair? How is it likely that the police will be live to the allegations raised by Listowel? I doubt it. Because the officers who will get up and say, these allegations are serious, let's invite you to the police station in order to validate the allegations for us to then take the next step. They are the ones saying that. The appointment of a police officer is a political matter. The people who appoint us must be, our service is not to the general public. It's not about delivering justice. It's not about making sure that crime is not perpetrated. No, it is about serving the expectations of New Patriotic Party appointers. That's the environment we find ourselves in. So if the police is reluctant or have failed to act upon such free intelligence from Listowel Nanapoku, you have to understand, you have to appreciate the context within which they are reluctant. And I said earlier, there seems to be a culture within the New Patriotic Party in government to divert our national resources into the hands of trusted appointees of Mr. Akufo-Addo, who then become the channels through which election, votes are bought for them to continue to be in power. So they keep the cocoa farmer very hungry for a long time. They keep the ordinary person starved for a long time. And then when it comes to election, like they did in Asin Fosu, as enough, they go give you £200 and expect you to then sell your freedom by virtue of the money they give to you, so that you can then vote for anybody, regardless of whether the person is capable of becoming a good leader of the country. That is their thought process. That is what has manifested in Cecilia Dapa's case. I mean, can you imagine the amount of money in her house? And she didn't even know until the husband chanced on the housemaid in their bedroom. She didn't know. This matter happened last year. The woman didn't know. So it tells the question then is, how much money is she hoarding that she is not even aware of? If Listowel, somebody whose history has been with the New Patriotic Party, is now out telling us this, and we already have a tip of the iceberg, which is Cecilia Dapa. We've also heard about some money in Polytank, which one of your media colleagues had revealed. Money in the Polytank, but that didn't seem to fly to go further. But if Listowel is now coming and pointing the public's attention to something like this, then it seems to me that there is more to this than meets the eye.
So where does the country go? Citizens want to know. You want to know. Charles want to know.
Yes.
I want to know. But we have a lot of Ghanaian community in the UK here.
They
feel that this should be something that should be followed up by the government. So where do we go from here before Charles, I come to you? Sorry.
We live in the United Kingdom.
So if you want to land with this.
During the COVID lockdowns, Boris Johnson's government said that everybody must stay home. And they were doing something else. Due process took effect. And the consequence was people, their heads were chopped politically, lost their positions. Even he lost his place in government. That is a system that works, whereby you can do the wrong things, but the law will catch up with you. But in our Ghanaian situation, it is not the rule of law that is working. It is the rule of man, Mr. Akufo-Addo. So in such situations, the police is incapable of delivering justice for you, of investigating crime, because they've been disadvantaged.
Then he also mentioned special prosecutor.
Yes, for example, there was a tape in which
Charles, you get the time.
were alleged to be on. There's one term I learned which they say is legal gymnastics. Jimmy. Okay, legal gymnastics. So you go to court, you pretend to be doing something about a matter, and so the public, give you all the confidence. They give you their trust, like the special prosecutor was doing about Cecilia Dapa case. But you know that the processes you take to court will yield a certain outcome, which is not in favor of freedom and justice, but to achieve a certain outcome. My national chairman, the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, spoke to the same fact recently, that when the way the special prosecutor went about this matter, he was quite sure that he was not going to end up achieving any result. Lo and behold, what did we get? The court ending up saying that Cecilia Dapa's money should be returned to her.
You want to land, please?
Then he writes back saying that they've accepted the ruling, but now they have re-seized the monies or the amount of money.
We will come to that.
So my bottom line point is this: I am in great doubt as to whether, as long as Mr. Akufo-Addo and his clique of kleptocrats continue to run the government of Ghana, justice, economic or ordinary, will not be delivered to the people of Ghana. The solution is to get them out of power. Then we can have the opportunity to clean up.
Thank you, Charles. Citizens want to know.
Yes.
You want me to go on?
No, I've got a question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I'm going to go on that. But you see, when you tell me not to make allegations or not to proffer through allegations, I don't expect you to proffer through allegations. What am I saying? My brother, even when I quoted a media report, he was still insisting that it was an allegation. Now, how many allegations has he made? he's saying that money kept for election within the MPP. Is that an allegation or his finding? I want him to think about it and tell the viewers that he has on authority that MPP has siphoned resources and using.
So you're giving him 1 minute.
Oh, no. What I'm saying.
No, he gave me 1 minute. Are you giving him 1 minute?
You see, there is what we call research thought.
Yes.
I'm giving him a research thought to think
Okay.
about it. And the viewers will know that his views are only ones that tend to favor him and not the objective approach we are using to have this conversation or discussion. He also says that the president has had a penchant approach to ensure that one person becomes the flag bearer. You see, now he forgets that run up to the 2020, the flag bearership race for within his party. A lot of people were against the fact that the former president was even one coming back, and two, a lot of the masses behind him. How did the masses get to be behind him? Because of the fact that everybody was saying that if you don't go for this person, we'll deal with you. Now, 98%. Are you telling me that if people were given free will and choice, they would choose the former president to come back as flag bearer? That is why Mr. Kwaku Anyido was always peeved by the fact that, it's the national executive of the NDC's will and decision to allow the former president to come back. Now, he talks about media, that the media is not helpful to the cause of the country.
Me?
Well, but what you are saying is that there were certain media reportage here and there.
I wouldn't attack the media. Please.
Okay, all right. So if it's not a case of attacking the media, then what you are saying that whatever the media has reported is true. So why are you then telling me that what the media reported in 2019 is not? Now, the next thing is about the logic, that your analogy of cat and dog. He used the analogy cat and dog, that they are very useful animals within the home setting. However, when the hunter is going to the farm to hunt, they call the dog because of the dog's impact. That is not to say the cat is not impactful. It means the hunter sees through what the dog can do when they get to the bush. And what am I saying? That is the point, that the majority of people within the MPP, when it got to narrowing the 10 candidates to 5, concluded that, like dog, this person can help bring more meat home than anybody else. And therefore, majority supported the vice president to poll the number of votes polled. Now, he also says that Dr. Dufour did not make statements about this, about that. But Dr. Dufour did not get to the point where he resigned after the election. He didn't get to that point. And therefore, if you really want to compare, then let's give him the chance to get to that point and see if he will say this or that to make his case strong. Now, let me go to the substantive. Your point is that somebody has made a statement.
Yes.
That I know where people's wealth is or are, and therefore I can lead you to get it. Anybody can say that.
You mentioned 3 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anybody can say that. Remember when people were saying that the former president has bought houses in Dubai and blah, blah, blah. It was allegation. And people were put on notice that bring your evidence and put the president through the due process. The former president through the process. Because people didn't have the evidence, they didn't do it. So if you tell me that, I have this information and therefore follow me, that is why we have the Criminal Code 1960 Act 29. If you look at Act 29 Section 179 capital A, if you read down to subsection 3 and you look at the subsets, it talks about causing financial loss to the state. And the fact that, let me read it to you. It says that any person through whose willful, malicious, or fraudulent action or omission the state incurs financial loss, such a person commits an offense. When it comes to criminal offense, that is why we have what we call actus rei and mens rea. You cannot conclude. It's not about tort or contractual breach that you can say that this has happened if I'm going to conclude. We're talking about crime, indictment. And if you cannot just conclude that somebody is a criminal and people follow you to, and then anybody can say that, okay, I've seen somebody hit here, so follow me and let's deal with it. I cannot say that about my brother Kofi and I expect the police to follow me just because I am a public figure and I've made a statement. I expect that person to go through the due process. You know, we have what we call citizens arrest. Citizens arrest is within the code. Yeah. And therefore, even if I'm very strong that my evidence is laudable, I have my facts, I have my evidence, and therefore I can prosecute it. I don't even have to wait. I can go to court, invoking the statutes, the Criminal Code Act 29. And what am I going to court for? Am I going to court to say that this individual has willfully, by action, omission, caused financial loss to the state? And what will the court do? The court will take the evidence and the court will put the person through the process. So even if the police is not doing anything, the Office for Special Prosecutor is not doing anything, and everybody is not doing anything, what is that person who has the power within the law also doing? You see, so the point I'm making is that when it comes to criminality, we have to be very, very, very careful. And that is why nobody...
Will this affect the confidence of the public, our citizens, to report things if they make any reports, allegations, and it's not followed up?
You see, I expect that when I go to the police to make a complaint, or I go to the Office for Special Prosecutor to whistleblow, because there's whistleblow rights for citizens, whistleblowing rights, I go with evidence as well. If I say evidence, something to support the claim that, look, this is what is happening, and I know even where it is. Otherwise, the conclusion will be that anybody who has money in Ghana, I'm not saying that people are not undermining certain processes, but the point here is that if we allow the floodgate to open, then everybody will make any frivolous statement, and we expect the police to use its scarce resources to follow that person. What if they go and they don't find anything? Will people then turn around and say, look at these police people, they are scarce resources, they just follow everybody. And whenever people feel that they are smelling things, or they are sensing things, or they are hearing things, the police stops everything to follow. If it is criminality that borders on protection of property, protection of life, and so on and so forth, of course, you have to follow through that suspicion. But we are talking about somebody saying that somebody has stolen state funds. And therefore, we expect people, just like NDC was expecting those in NPP who were making such allegations to do. I also expect everybody who feels
this one is out and it's all over the media. Now, the Ghanaian citizens are looking to see, okay, what will happen with this allegation?
Right.
In future, if someone said to you that, oh, listen, I've heard armed robbers is more likely to come to your house. You are in your house, you're feeling uncomfortable. What would you do? You will contact the police. And then if the police don't follow up, then what? You are just stuck, because then they will come and attack you.
That is different.
But this one, he has made allegation that he knows where the money is, and Ghanaian community all around the world, in particular those in the diaspora, want to know where it is, because if they have investors coming to the country and they hear all this hearsay and then that, it's clear that the police should come out and say, okay, this is what we have done following the allegation, and this is the steps we took. This is where we are. But it's not like that. But so what happened?
But you see, even if it is the case that people have such things in their homes, and you are telling the world that I know Kula, I know Kofi, I know Charles with these things in their homes. By the time the police come, wouldn't I have put those things
But
away?
at least they should make attempt.
But you see, that is why the laws are clear. That you have to follow through. We're talking about criminal offense. We're not talking about tortious liability or contractual liability or anything. It's about causing financial loss to the state, to the point that it's an indictment offense, and therefore anybody found culpable and proven will go to jail. So you see, it is not about people sitting on radio or sitting somewhere to say that. We can even say that, well, anybody would then be clamoring or will be shouting, the wolf is coming, and all of us will stop and follow the person. We'll go there and there's no wolf coming. Is it about popularity? It's not about popularity. And therefore, I will challenge my my brother or my uncle Listowell that if you, the code is clear, invoke the tenet of Act 29, the Criminal Code 1960. If go to court that I am a Ghanaian and somebody is causing financial loss to the state, and I don't want that, and therefore I am invoking.
Is it not start?
Is it not
for one to go through such process? Will this discourage other citizens if they know that something is happening at a place where they have to go through that process? In this country, you are in the UK here, in London. If you call the police now to say, you know where 3 people have some money, they won't waste even a minute. Within 5 minutes or less, the police will be there investigating, finding out, doing their diggings and everything.
I disagree.
Why should it happen that way?
I disagree with you. In the UK, yes. I disagree with you. The police will not hear somebody say that I've seen somebody holding money or snatch money somewhere, and I believe or think that the money is for the state.
He's not saying he believe or think. He's saying that he's seen it and this is where the money is.
But that's what I'm saying. But it's not different from what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. What he's saying is that I have people who have
the police
money,
will go.
Who have money.
I'm telling you, the police will go.
Let's have a process to this conversation. Mm-hmm. And a Ghanaian makes an allegation, and the person's claim is that I know about 3 people who hold state funds, and I believe that they did it to stifle the state of that resource, and therefore they have caused financial loss to the state.
You are reading it differently. You want me to read everything for you?
But what he's saying is that I know people who has money in their homes, and therefore follow me and let's go and get it. Let's go and arrest them. Is that not it? Is it different from what I'm saying?
I'm saying that
it's the same thing.
Let me read it.
It's not different.
Yes, listen well. Nana Kusi Poku, who is the executive director of Good Governance Advocacy Group, recently said that he can help the state to recover 100 million from 3 officials. He also claimed that these 3 officials are lower levels of this. Now, this allegation comes. Okay. We don't need to wait for anybody. Yes, what would it take the police to investigate?
Kula, look, you are a person of, you are in a professional industry.
Yes.
If somebody makes an allegation, even in your profession, you take steps, but you do it cautiously first. This person, I even thought that he said, I know people. He says that I can help the state to recoup or recover money from people.
No, he knows where the money is.
He says, I can help the state to
recover. I can read all for you.
Yeah. I can help the state to recover funds because I know the people.
He's saying that he should be jailed for life if he's not able to lead the police or the special prosecutor with this 100 million at their homes. No, this is a very serious allegation. And the money involved.
I'm not saying
the money involved is a lot.
I'm not saying that the police should not do if they wish to do. Mm-hmm. The point I'm making is the police wrong in law not to follow through completely? If they are not wrong in law to follow through completely, then you cannot accuse the police for neglecting this allegation or this statement. Mind you, we are talking about floodgate argument. If this is followed through, then if tomorrow I shout that, I know people who have XYZ, I expect the police to follow me and go look for them.
Okay, can you land here, then we go to the next one.
Let me land. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that in the UK, people within the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, the police duty or powers within protection of damage to properties and life and so on and so forth. And therefore, if somebody comes to say that, I have money, I know people who are holding on to state funds, I don't think a UK police, whatever the rank, will stop everything and follow that through. They expect the person to come with more information pointing to that truth. And they will even direct the person that if that's the case, go follow the process this way and we'll catch up with you and assist.
Thank you.
That is the point. And therefore, we cannot allow people to make generalization and expect the police and officer of special prosecutor to stop everything and follow. Otherwise, the floodgate will be open so wide that we'll not be able to control.
But the argument is that the citizens want to know, and the police, it will be good for them to act on it as evidence. This will also help in the future if anything comes up.
Then, in that case, what I would expect the police to say is to put it out there, referring to the statute, the criminal code, the offenses there are, and what people can do. And even some of these things, you don't have to make it. It can be done covertly. So, because you are looking at arresting somebody who has state property or fund, and you think or believe it's about the person is a willful.
It's just the timing of Cecilia Dapawan, the timing of this, so that the public citizens will have some satisfaction, a sense of belonging to say, okay, yes, they've seen it, they heard it, this is the conclusion, and the case is finished.
But do you know that somebody can take this matter to court or make a written statement to Office for Special Prosecuting by way of whistleblown? But you can't go on the radio or on TV or wherever to make open statement and expect the police to stop everything. The police can then request that, okay, right, we've heard what you've said, but even that, it shouldn't mean open. Otherwise, then the person will end up dissipating that.
Anyway,
resource.
let's go to Kofi. You want to make a
quick one.
Okay, go on.
When this is like the case, the matter became public knowledge for about a month before the OSP moved in, when there was now a huge uproar. Then the OSP moved in. But prior to that, it was out enough for the OSP to take action. In this particular case of Listowel, he has put it out. And the police being paid from our taxes to maintain law and order should have within the police service someone or a unit responsible for scouring the media for anything that would be of relevance to public law and order. This is a matter for public law and order. We are required to keep our monies in banks. A certain element of cash around
Money
is
laundering
understandable. Yes. And so if people are hoarding, how much? 100 million at homes instead of in the banks. This is a matter for the police, the Economic and Organized Crimes Unit, is it IOCO, to be interested in, the Office of the Special Prosecutor to be interested in, but they are not taking action. You let Omega TV, as you've done now, begin to talk about this. Let other media houses, follow through with this and let it become a public uproar, a matter of public uproar. Then you see them acting. What I'm pointing out is the reluctance of our security services and the law enforcement agencies to act when people who are seen to be MPP or Mr. Akufo-Addo's appointees are caught or are, suspected to be involved in actions that are not in line with the law. They are reluctant.
Okay.
And this is an evidence of it.
Thank you. Do I start with you with this question, or you want? It's to do with the 80 MPs who wanted Ken Ofori-Atta, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta out. What they were saying is that they asked some MPs say several efforts to have President Nana Addo address the plight of their constituencies regarding the ailing economy had proved futile. What they're saying is that, and Nana Addo responded by saying that terminating the appointment of Mr. Ofori-Atta will disrupt the IMF program. And he wanted him to conclude the IMF negotiations. A number of Ghanaians have come out to say that the economy, we are still experiencing hardship, and they feel that things are not going the way it should go. Nana have his own MPs want him out. He's still there. What is happening? What is your understanding in terms of the economy now, in terms of inflation, our exchange rate, and the concerns of those 80 MPs. Have their position changed? What is your understanding of it? Then I'll come to you, Charles.
Kofi.
Thank you.
The New Patriotic Party we have today, is led by people I call economic Draculas. You know Dracula?
You know, Charles, his eyes became
Yeah,
he just shifted straight.
Yeah.
Economic what? Dracula, you
Yes.
said it. Why?
They exist, and this is not about everybody in the NPP. I have considerable respect for a lot of, particularly the crop of leaders that came with President Kufuor. You saw the quality, the level of responsibility for the country, and wanting to keep it together. You could see the commitment, although they went quite far with some of their excesses. But if you compare, even at the time, I wasn't really happy with the way they led the country. But if you compare that MPP with this MPP, they are oceans apart. What we have, what's the word? They say kakistocracy. It's a government, it's the worst form of government you can have. You know, Ghanaians want a democracy, but what we have ended up with is a kakistocracy. It's a disastrous kind of government. But at the top of it, at the yoke of it, it's a family, a clique of family members, which runs around Mr. Kufuor, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the one with the Galamsey company that Professor Fufu Boateng alleged against, and you know he ended up going to court. You know, Gabi Asare Dako, Asante Bedie too. You know, it's a family-run government who have, and you know, to their credit, and that's not a positive credit, have over time schemed and successfully managed to take the New Patriotic Party captive and then use that machinery to then capture government. And they are milking the state dry. It's never happened before that a ruling government have such a significant number of their members of parliament rising up and saying, you are taking us to the base, to the bottom of the ocean. You are sinking us. And that we don't want this finance minister to continue to be at the center of our economic management. We want somebody else. And then, like I said earlier, Nana Nkamanson, if it is not his way, you go the highway. He's not going to let you. So he listened to them. He found a way to diffuse the pressure a little bit, buy time, and manage to silence them. Who is still the finance minister of Ghana? The untouchable Ken Ofori-Atta, the Bible-quoting, deceptive accountant or accounting person who is still responsible for our finances. Today, poverty is biting rife. Today, hardship is biting rife. Inflation is like, you know, jata. You buy something today, tomorrow you go there, the price triples. My personal experience, I went to buy this soft drink, 25 cedis. A few months later, I go there, 65. First, I was told it's 60. But then the guy says to me, wait, hold on a minute. He goes in, he takes the phone, calls the store owner. The store owner says, no, this morning it has changed to 65. That is how prices gallop in Ghana. But salaries remain. The cocoa farmer, however much he's paid, remains per bag of cocoa. The exchange rate is killing business people. Ken Ofori-Atta, Kennedy Japan talked about it when he talked about Bawumia's disastrous economic leadership. That he owes an investor or business partner. The next time he has to pay, he needed to, you know, put together large amounts of money. The difference was millions of Ghana cedis that he had to pay extra as a result of the loss of our currency, the Ghanaian currency, the cedi, as against the dollar. These are all consequences of leadership. And the ones at the center of it are the people who have taken the New Patriotic Party captive and are using it as a vehicle to milk Ghana dry. I mean, those 80 members of parliament, you know, I always have this perpetual faith that as bad as the NPP is now, there are still people in there who want the good of Ghana. But it is their, excuse me to say, it is their cowardice in the face of the malgovernance that Akufo-Addo and his family clique are running the country with that disappoints me a lot. They're decent, well-meaning New Patriotic Party people in Ghana and even outside of Ghana who have gone to school with, you know, NDC members, CPPM members. They've traversed the country. They've grown to love Ghana and want the best for Ghana. A lot of them, you meet them privately, they'll tell you they are not happy with what is going on. But the show of cowardice, the lack of courage to confront this man who has taken their party captive, and as a result, through their silence, has ended up destroying Ghana, this beacon of democracy, this beacon of economic development that the NDC under President Mahama has sanitized, has ended up destroying even the opportunities for young people today. So for me,
Nana is saying, sorry to go, but he's saying that he wanted him to conclude the IMF program.
They have. I mean, not the program, it was the negotiations.
Negotiation. Yes. But he's still there.
Yes.
And it seems like the case is finished. The argument is finished. The 80 MPs are no longer making any complaints.
They are no longer whinging.
Has things improved in our country? Has the economy, in terms of prices of goods and things, has things
as a matter
changed?
of fact, as we speak today, when President Mahama left government, inflation was about a third of what is. We have 45% inflation. Exchange rate, the dollar, well, the IMF has entered now, so there's some seeming level of stability, but we lose ground gradually to the dollar. Economic development is the Kwashiorkor type of growth. Our growth is, we're not growing basically. We're just treading water.
How much?
What's the rate of growth? The recent, the last one, 1.5%.
So, we are not.
Are you proud of that?
So you finish your point.
Don't challenge me. I mean, if you ask me, then you have egg on your face because the economy is a disaster as a result of who? Ken Ofori-Atta, together with Alhaji Bawumia, who now wants to appear as more Christian than the Christian, and all those people around the economic management team. They didn't go there to bring to the ordinary Ghanaian economic freedom. They just went there to take the country captive and extract from it as much wealth as possible to the disregard of the economic freedom that the ordinary and we are seeing the manifestations of it. Money under people's beds, flying private jets when there are provisions for you as president. It is all about their personal creature comforts and their family wealth to the disadvantage of the ordinary Ghanaian. If you compare what President Mahama handed over to what we have today, there are clear differences. People are suffering. There is poverty. It's going rife. Our education system, the funding is not. I mean, school feeding. Caterers are up in arms.
Can you land?
Our pensioners are being shortchanged. Almost everybody within the Ghanaian economic system is suffering from the malgovernance of the Akufo-Addo clique. The person at the center of it, who is helping him to do it, is Ken Ofori-Atta.
Thank you.
And those MPP people, man up.
Thank
and
you.
support the NDC to oust this government.
Thank you. Charles, you heard it all about
Yes.
the 80 MPs.
Okay.
And what they were saying is that in their
Yes,
constituencies,
I heard
people
it.
are suffering.
So, yeah, let me
and,
respond to that.
You know, yeah, thank you.
I am glad to hear my brother Kofi saying that the MPP party is able to call its own party, or MPP party members are able to call their own party to order and to request certain actions to be done. Something that has never happened in NDC. That is something to be celebrated, and thank you for being honest about that. Now, the 80 MPs granted make a request for action to be taken. I'll start from that. I'll come to the economy side of things. The president first accepts the request, but makes a counter request for a reason. There's something called sensitivity analysis, and I'm sure my brother is aware of that. Even in political science, there's sensitivity analysis. What policy should the government take, and what will be the consequence? Should it delay, or should it be done now? These are sensitivity analysis. So the question here is, once you carry out the sensitivity analysis, you weigh out each action and the risk level. The action with minimal risk is what you take. Because each action or option has risk. Whether you sack the finance minister now or later, there will be risk. The question is, which one has less risk? And that's the sensitivity point. So what's the sensitivity here? We are going to negotiate with international body, IMF, with a view to seek support. The president says that we are going to meet these people, and therefore we have to go well prepared. So even if we bring the best option, because that best option may not be 100% privy to the information and the fact, we will not be able to gain the best out of that negotiation. And therefore, the less risk will be that if we wait and keep this finance minister, who is privy to all the facts, will be able to get the best out of that negotiation from this external body, the IMF. Yes, granted that there will be other people who could have done it. But the question is, if they did it, what would have been the risk? The risk is that we wouldn't have gotten the best out of the negotiation. That's the first thing.
Why?
Why?
Why, if others do it, they won't get the best?
We are looking at the point you are doing it. For example, you are carrying out risk assessment for a child who is going through being taken away from parents. Let's say that the police is seeking emergency protection order.
Yeah.
The parents are asking that no, something
They're
should be done.
seeking police protection.
Well, but there's what we call emergency protection order within the law, and that so it's emergency
Police
protection order.
yeah.
But the police, we call it emergency protection order. It's the police that gives.
Yeah.
But what we are saying here is that whether the police will grant or police will not grant, the work you do as an independent independent reviewer of what is happening, you are between the police or the government and the family. So what will you do? You carry out what the risks are. If you let the child stay with the parents and let the child go to the police, what will be the implications for the child? Sometimes you conclude that let the child go. Sometimes you conclude that let the child stay, depending on the risks you have identified. That's the sensitivity analysis. The point we are making is this. The president did not say no to the request. The president accepted the request in good faith, but made a counter request that, having carried out the sensitivity analysis, let's wait for the minister to go through the program. Then we'll know what is best. So it will be reviewed, then we'll conclude. Now, today we are talking about growth level of 1.5. It is not the best, but at least we are getting out of the woods. Because the risk was that we're even going to go bankrupt as a nation. And it's across board. People say don't mention what is happening in other countries, so let's limit ourselves.
Yes.
So we are limiting. So we are limiting.
Conditionalities of
IMF. So we are limiting ourselves.
Are we meeting it?
We are limiting ourselves. But the point I'm making is that now the growth envisaged was 2.8, and we carried out review. It came down to what we call prudence measure, prudence conclusion, 1.5%. IMF has estimated that by 2025, Ghana will revert to its original position of steady growth. So let me share some facts with you. It's not the case that, yes, everything is great, but we are saying that things are getting better. And if we continue, of course, there are all these externalities or external factors. But 2018, 2019, let's say 2019, we had 6.5 growth. So you see that 2018 6.2, 2019 6.5, 2020 we go down. 2021 things are getting not the best. Why do we have these changes? Let's go for the externalities. Look at what has happened globally, to the extent that it has affected everything. People don't want to hear about these external shocks. These external shocks. And my brother, the graduate of political science, will tell you that when there are external shocks within the country, it affects the political system. Today we are talking about what is happening in the economic system. The growth rate, inflation, exchange rate, and so on and so forth. Yes, I'm not going to sit here to say that it's all well and good, but are we looking at something that has the potential for improvement? And that is why I would say yes, because even with COVID, even with the wars around us, even with what is happening within even the West African sub-region and Africa as a block, as a region, all these things put together, we have concluded that we are getting out of the depressive mode. We now have 1.5 growth rate. We are getting there. IMF speculates or concludes that 2025, that's about 2 years' time or 1.5 years' time, we are going to go back to where we were before. What it means is that we'll then be able to get to the steady growth levels. But it comes with the will of the government to do something. Is the government willing to do something? If the government has folded its arms and not doing anything at all, then we say that the government doesn't care about the state of the economy. But this is a government that has shown good faith and interest in reversing the sporadic trend in terms of our deteriorating economic performance. Things are getting better. Somebody will say 1.5 is not good. But within even the African sub-region, we are better off than most African countries. But you are saying that we shouldn't compare. But you cannot talk about you cannot discuss economics without making intertemporal and comparative analysis. Comparing to the countries around and comparing even to the global masses, the developed country. So if you look at the growth in the UK, in the US, and all that, all countries are attributing what is happening in their countries to what is happening in Ukraine, what happened right after COVID. Something else happens. And we are not even out of the woods yet with the Ukraine war. And therefore, what I would say is that now, if there's improvement in the economic state in terms of our growth performance, then what the president maybe concluded that let's wait and see what happens after the IMF negotiation and the program, we see what to do. If it is not completely broken, do we then fix it because we have to make people happier? I'm sure if those MPs who were insisting still feel that things are worse and therefore the minister must go, they will still speak up.
Well, they are worried of their constituency to say that they are the ones complaining and they feel that things are hard for them. Now the question is, if Nana Addo don't take steps and listen, they are also going to lose their job. They know that.
Well, then unfortunately, somebody will conclude that that person with this view may be selfish, because they are thinking about themselves and what they will lose, as opposed to standing strong and bold.
They want
for
their
the truth.
constituency
vote
voices
for
to
them.
be heard.
To vote for them.
To be heard.
No, but you are saying that they fear that they will lose their seat.
Some may.
But if you fear that you will lose your seat, then you are not thinking about the country.
Anyway, let's go 2 minutes each because of time. You know, Akufo-Addo campaign for Nana Addo, our president, campaigned in 2016 election on the promise of change from corruption and freedom to oversight and accountability. Do you think that Nana has achieved that? Charles?
So,
2 minutes.
All right. You see, every strong country must have its pillars hinged on strong institutions. What makes strong institution? If you come to the UK, almost everything we do is about 99% cashless. So there's no even interface of cash to the point that you can even induce somebody to give you some money so that you can do something for them. And that is how we curb corruption and bribery. That is how we build strong institutions. How do we build it? We use modern technology. And that is why the country is now getting, not there yet, but we are getting, at least comparatively to other countries, in terms of using digitization to manage our economy. To the point that now there are certain places you go in Ghana, you don't necessarily have to pay cash. And that is a way to, if I'm not going to pay cash, then how are you going to ask me to pay 50% so that I share the remaining 50% with you? No. So gradually the port is getting digitalized. We are not there 100%, but we are getting there, better than before. If you go to the revenue, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, things are improving in terms of installing or introducing digital systems of collecting and reporting revenue. If you go to other parts, even the pre-mixed fuel, government has introduced the digitalization process so that people will not look at you and say, okay, I will give you 10 gallons, I will give you this because I know you, or I will give you 20, give me 10 later. There's no human into everything so that it's systemized. This is how we build strong economy institutions.
Thank you.
If we continue to do this, what's going to happen is that let's give ourselves 5 years.
Thank you, Charles.
We'll see a Ghana that has minimal corruption.
Thank you.
And we'll get there. Something that can never be said of any political party.
Thank you,
in
Charles. You're taking Kofi's time a bit, so we have to give you the seconds. Thank you.
Kofi, the answer simply to the question is, Mr. Akufo-Addo was a grave mistake. First by the New Patriotic Party, and second by the fact that he became the president. It was a grave mistake, and Ghanaians know this. And so everywhere President Mahama went, people went to meet him with his stone. Beji Ubo, we are sorry to President Mahama, because they were lied to. Like I said, they captured the MPP, used it to deceive the people, and then got power. But what are they doing? Economic Draculas, sucking the people dry whilst they suffer. This is what we are facing. President Akufo-Addo came to the campaign in 2016 with Yeti Sikasu and he come there. We have money, but we are suffering. When President Mahama, under him, the economy started growing, and GDP growth is a lagging economic indicator. So your performance today will reflect in the GDP growth in the next cycle. And so by 2017, the economy grew, and since 2017, the MPP has never, ever been able to match the performance in 2017. Now that they were to now take responsibility for the economy and manage it, all we are having is decline until IMF came in to now take control of our economy. Akufo-Addo, Alhaji Bawumia, Ken Ofori-Atta, and all the people they sit with and talk to each other about Ghanaian economy have no clue about how to manage an economy, and therefore should not continue even one day more to handle the Ghanaian economy because of their total incompetence, cluelessness, and this penchant for stealing basically extorting the people's economic wealth for private gain.
Thank you.
So for me, that's the primary thing.
Okay.
We must unite. We must rally together. We must rescue our country from this clique of economic Draculas who are destroying our economy, and with Bawumia running away from the economy and becoming a crusader for digitalization.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Madam Kim Naki on Facebook is saying that, well said, our aspiring chapter secretary Kofi Adoli, the honest Ghanaian, is done with NPP. Michael Aristol Che, also NPP guy, is just beating around the bush. He's finding it hard to defend indefensible. NPP never again. Becky Stone, please share. Mavis is saying, well done, our incoming secretary. David Kwao, this NPP communicator, Charles, is really struggling to defend the bad economic situation we are facing in Ghana. You cannot compare the current situation without looking at internal issues where the NPP government have failed and failed again. Edem Sanu, the NPP ministers are stealing all money out of the system. It seems like this is the messages now that we have in terms of that. Can we have the last word? Kofi, you go first, and it's the party power. He finish off. What is your last word? But for Chairman Akwa is also saying his greetings to you as well.
Thank you, Chairman Akwa. Thank you to all aspirants in the NDC UK Ireland elections. Let's remember that uniting the party and making it credible as an alternative, for the people of Ghana to select into government is the most important thing. So kudos to all of you, NDC, my colleagues, my comrades everywhere. Kudos to all. Keep up the faith, keep the fight. We'll rescue Ghana. But let me refer us to history. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
How many minutes you want? You want 2 or 3 minutes each? Which one you want? Three minutes. Three minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Most of these
for each of us.
Yeah, to finish for us to finish.
So 1.5 or 3 each.
3 minutes each.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'll be very snappy. Most of these, leading figures in the liberation struggle for Africa traversed the space, the land, walked the same path that we have all walked, or we are walking across this United Kingdom. We are learning. We are watching how this country has developed, including other countries in the West, how they've developed, the level of commitment they've given, the level of courage they've exercised in order to transform their economies for the betterment of their people. I want us, those of us in particular in the diaspora, to learn the lessons and apply those lessons for our country. What the country is going through now, many of you are not happy about, but are laid back about it and are not taking steps in order to rescue our economy and create better opportunities for the people we have left behind. So my appeal in all these discussions, that inflation is biting people. The calls that come to you every day to appeal for support are resulting from the economic difficulties our people are going through in the country. And this comes from the poor leadership that the NPP, having been captured by Akufo-Addo, is going, is wreaking on the people of Ghana. We need to build faith, and we need to make sure that the National Democratic Congress, as credible as it is, as potent and competent as it is led, should be the alternative for the people of Ghana. And I want all of us, you may not be, having NDC colors around your neck. You may not be going around with any party colors, but primarily you are a Ghanaian. You are a Ghanaian. Whatever affects the people of Ghana affects you directly or indirectly. And therefore, you should be interested. Let's rally together. Let's rally around the NDC flag to support all those who want to rescue the country from the economic malaise we are facing. Whether it is the issue of bad leadership at the police service, bad leadership at the OSP, bad leadership at the economic management team from which Alhaji Bawumia has run, or the issues regarding the Bank of Ghana, the clear, open theft that is going on from public procurement, people having suddenly millions of dollars in their bank accounts. Those issues would have affected you one way or the other. This is the opportunity this year into next year is for everyone to reflect on what it is we can do differently in order to bring the sanity that our country, Ghana, the beacon of Africa, deserves. Don't sit back. Don't be laid back. Don't say, oh, because it is not, at my doorstep immediately, it doesn't affect me. There's a true saying that Ekaw Yonkwa. Now, finish it for me.
Also.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it affects all of us, one way or the other. So I really want us to rally. Let's come up. If there is something you think you can do or you're not sure about, speak to somebody. Hold hands together. Let's rescue Ghana from this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Viewers and listeners, today we have come to you from the studios of Omega TV. We are sharing with you what Ghana is doing, the challenges Ghana is going through, and how the government has managed to get the country out of those challenges, and the prospects and potentials that the country is experiencing or having, to the effect that we are attracting foreign direct investment. Now, you know that there are two key contending parties in Ghana, NDC and MPP. NDC calls itself a social democrat, to the effect that they think about the country. Let me ask you, how many social interventions has NDC put together that helped everybody? Not just a few, everybody. And I will tell you that MPP, we do what we say. As a social, part of the social interventions, we have free SHS for everybody. To the effect that those who couldn't afford could now go to school freely and now performing. What it means is that we have so many Ghanaian children who can perform, but for money, they are not able to experience or see the potentials come out. And the government intervention, that is for everybody, the free SHS, has helped those people and helped those families. So that is one. National Insurance Program, the National Health Insurance Program, have helped every Ghanaian. So that you go to hospital, depending on the nature of the illness, you're able to get free treatment, just like we have abroad. NDC will tell you that they introduced Akonfem. Where are they? They visited Burkina Faso and never came back. They introduced the buses. Where are they now? But MPP will tell you that we've introduced digitalization of the economy so that we have less cash interface, build strong institutions, and reduce corruption. And very soon, we'll be able to experience or enjoy the fruit of such programs. So there are so many. You know about NABCO. You know about reintroducing nurses allowance. You know about all the social interventions the party MPP has put in place, which NDC can never say that they've done this to help everybody. And therefore, we are looking at the worst of the two evils. The worst. Granted that people are saying MPP is bad, NDC is bad. But mind you, the champion of NDC is the former president John Mahama. We knew that he couldn't, and we voted him out. He's coming back. This time he's coming back, he doesn't really care. Whether after 4 years, he doesn't care because he's not going to come again after 4 years per constitution. So he's coming for only one term.
I thank God you said he's coming back.
If he
you want to land,
if he says he's coming back, and the reason is that when he comes back, he knows he's going to do all those dubious things, going to plunge the country into the abyss that we can never survive. And once he leaves, that will be it. He will still go back to enjoy his benefits as a former president. Therefore, let's never give him a chance to come and plan the country. At least the MPP you've tested, the MPP you've seen, even in the challenges, MPP is still delivering for Ghanaians. And if these social interventions are working for you, then they will work even better. With all the social digitalization programs, Ghana will be the beacon of hope for Africa once more. And the developed world will see Ghana as a place to go.
Thank you very much, Charles. Kofi is going for a position as aspiring secretary. Kofi, do you have a message for your team before we close off? Or
I do actually.
Okay, go on.
Yes, so I have to put on a different hat, which is a contestant for the position of chapter secretary. My fellow comrades, we have been at this for quite some time. Our party in the UK has grown over the period. But we are at a point in time where the #1 diaspora chapter for the NDC in the United Kingdom and Ireland, has to step up to the next level. And we need a secretary who is able, to take responsibility for our issues, be they visibility, be they branch growth, be they, working together as a team, be they, speaking to policy issue and contribute to the national development, agenda, or working with our party back home in Ghana. I think I'll be the best person as your chapter secretary, the chief administrator, in order to lead you, mobilize, to contribute to the victory of NDC in our elections next year. I hope you will have, I've been able to do enough to build confidence in you to decide. The choice is yours. You have the power. But I'm trusting that you will make that decision to make me your chapter secretary, so we can together make the NDC in the UK and Ireland better for all of us and for the people of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kofi Adoley.
Let me wish my
today.
brother all the best
Yes.
in his bid to lead the NDC. We need a renewed NDC to at least put the MPP always on its toes in government. So I wish you all the best, and I'm sure that your people will see the competence and the things that you can do for your party to give you the mandate to support your party in the UK. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Charles Asma. Thank you, Mr. Kofi Adoley, and also CEO Jobedu and Sister Dansua. Have a good night. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much, all our viewers. See you next week. God bless you.